Joan Rivers said that Michelle Obama was a man before she died. When
was that a joke? I thought it was a joke.
I thought it was a joke too, but the way she said it wasn't like jokey. She was like, oh, come on, everybody knows Michelle Obama's the man. Like, remember that?
Yeah, like for that.
Well, I think she died because she had 1,000 plastic surgeries. But
yeah, she was going under.
Yeah.
She just sees these big black arms coming over her face. Big Mike.
Nobody noticed until now Joe Rogan just tore into Michelle. Obama's carefully crafted media image, and let's just say it wasn't exactly a message of hope. One second she's sharing feel-good quotes, and the next she's getting hit with commentary. From the king of podcast unpredictability himself, did Joe really go after her cooking show? Yes? Didn't. That was just the start. Get ready, because this roast heated up faster than her. Famously toned arms back in 2009,
Rogan is calling out Oprah and Michelle Obama for hypocritical speeches at the DNC. Watch.
she's up there talking about income inequality. Like, hey, lady.
Yeah, I know.
You're rich as like, how is that equal? And also, when Michelle Obama was saying, you know, I think she was saying her mother or grandmother was always suspicious of people who took more than they needed.
Yes.
Like, you are worth so much money.
Take more than they need. The Obamas have 4 mansions.
I mean,
Michelle Obama, the one person in the country who can turn a gym session into a full-on political seminar, is still going strong as America's unofficial chief of motivation. Only this time, Joe Rogan is calling her out because when she starts treating vegetables like badges of moral virtue, someone's got to grab a mic and yell enough with the kale crusade.
Bars are just different for people in life. Right. The bar was very different for your husband. Very different. And I'm sure he got into Harvard just based purely on his intellect, right? And Harvard Law School. And he was ushered into the presidency with about 2 minutes of public service behind him, right? Like a short stint in the U.S. Senate after being a local Illinois lawmaker. And he was lauded like he was.
You'd assume that after 8 years of growing lettuce on the White House lawn like it could heal political rifts. She'd take a step back, but no, Michelle is maintaining her brand, a brand that insists doing push-ups. Gives you authority over people's children, kitchens, souls, and even cholesterol levels.
For kids, were they private or public? Like, when was that, when he was a senator?
I don't know. I just know that
Like, he was a senator, right?
yes,
Before he became president.
for sure.
So
I don't-
what, law school,
yeah.
Senate?
I have no issue because I want to live. I have no issue with Big Mike. I don't care that they killed that sex slave in Martha's Vineyard. That's what happens to sex slaves. They drown in ponds. That's what happens. You fuck the ruling class, you drown a pond. That's what happens. If you get your little mouthy, you go into the pond. I don't have a problem with it. I have no I think it's good. I actually think it's good. I think it makes our country fun. I think it makes us unique. I think Putin and them are scared of that shit.
They do it all the time.
I think Putin and the Chinese are like, you know, you don't know what's going on there, because they got people that maybe they're men, maybe they're.
While most Americans are still recovering from her book tours that felt like it would never end, she's now launching into this new phase, where she's part wellness coach, part ethical guide, and part fitness icon. Meanwhile, Joe Rogan is just hanging out with a mic, some elk jerky, and a confused look, wondering why she's still shouting at him through social media.
A good time. The country's almost back to normal before World War III. COVID was just so strange. We lost a lot of people during COVID, and most of them are still alive. Yeah. Before COVID, I would have told you that vaccines are the most important invention in human history. After COVID, I'm like, I don't think we went to the moon. I think Michelle Obama's got a dick. I think Pizzagate is real. I think there's direct energy weapons in Antarctica.
It's almost poetic, Michelle says. Drink more water, Joe says. Eat more meat. And the rest of the country sits caught in between snacking on stress and spicy chips. But the real show begins when Michelle claims her latest mission is saving democracy. Through podcast slogans, because nothing screams power to the people like the former First Lady who turned school lunches into tasteless. Cardboard now telling us that the future of freedom depends on yoga and semi-annual voting.
Saying that Michelle Obama should run for president. If she won, she could pull her out, and China would just give up. I was wheezing. I couldn't breathe.
You know, just so proud of how you are being a role model for dealing with a child that's transgender.
Absolutely.
And that's, you know, that warms my heart, particularly as a Black man.
Michelle's version of national salvation includes a mood board, a jump rope, and a shelf of overpriced books. Likely ghost-written by a team, meanwhile, Joe envisions it all happening in a sauna with psychedelics and a long talk with a guy who once wrestled wildlife in Russia. Both believe they're doing something divine, but only one actually is. And spoiler, it's not the one bench-pressing leafy greens. Michelle defines activism as believing yourself, unless your beliefs don't align with hers, in which case, you're part of the decline. It's ironic to be lectured on unity by someone who raises an eyebrow harder than interest rates whenever someone mentions liberty without a liberal arts diploma, and don't even get started on her workouts. Michelle wants everyone waking up in a sweat by sunrise, and sure, I'd love to lunge while listening to my spirit, but right now my spirit is yelling, "Where's the coffee?" Joe would probably just say, "Your spirit needs more protein."
Misery Obama. That's really what I think of when Misery Obama never has a positive word to say. Never.
You know,
not about children, not about family, certainly not about her husband. By the way, before we leave this topic, here's her latest soundbite that made the rounds. This happened on June 18th, but I was off. Here it is, SOT 39.
You should have threw a boy in the mix.
I would. I'm so glad I didn't have a boy. Because he would have been a Barack Obama.
It's like baby Barack. It would have been amazing.
Ooh, no, I would have felt for him.
She just borrowed our boys.
Yes, I got plenty.
Wow.
You catch that? She's glad she didn't have a boy because he would have been a Barack Obama. And that's a hard pass for her. This woman can't stand him.
The strangest part, Michelle still acts like she's holding off as she posts something like, "We must protect our nation's soul," and suddenly your snack starts feeling like a climate disaster. Shh. You know who doesn't do that? Joe Rogan. That guy will look you in the eye and say, "Eat the chip. Just don't be soft about it." But Michelle has taken righteousness and rebranded it as a lifestyle. She's like a walking hole. Foods with a political degree reminding you your anxiety is fixable with quinoa and breathing techniques, and don't get it wrong. Joe's no saint. He still thinks his vitamin shelf could end world hunger, but at least when he talks about masculinity, he's not wearing a Lululemon power suit while petting a rescue dog. And quoting Maya Angelou like it's Navy SEAL training, Michelle thinks she's solving division. She's really just exhausting both sides' conservatives. Grown progressives squirm in that blurry line between motivation and smugness. Well, Michelle strutted over it like it was part of her morning routine every time. She smiles while shaming you for not doing more. A poster somewhere combusts from cringe overload.
Michelle Obama and Harris. Harris comes back as the vice president. Michelle Obama's the president. We get a double dose of diversity.
They'll win.
Let's go, champ.
They'll win. And then who's on the Republican side? DeSantis?
Trump and DeSantis. They have to make a super team. It's the only way they win.
Interesting.
That's the only way they win.
So let me be as honest and clear as I possibly can. Donald Trump is the wrong president for our country. He has had more than enough time to prove that he can do the job, but he is clearly in over his head. He cannot meet this moment. He simply cannot be who we need him to be for us. It is.
She's nailed the skill of turning obvious statements into deep wisdom. Drink water. Thank you. Michelle, move your body. Groundbreaking vote as if your life depends on it. I just came here to figure out how to pack a healthy lunch that won't make my kids hate me forever. Michelle acts like if she says anything with conviction, magically becomes profound. She could tell you to floss, and suddenly it's a civil liberty. Meanwhile, Joe Rogan floats in his isolation tank trying to understand how the woman who once said, "When they go low, we go high," now makes you feel like trash for ordering fries. Her cookbooks make Martha Stewart look like she runs a drive-thru, and half her recipes sound like spells at a sprinkle of mountain pollen. In Intention Joe just says, "Here's a steak, try not to cry." That's the thing, Michelle's empowerment always comes with a guilt trip. It's not just about your snack, it's about the state of democracy, and probably disappointing the legacy of Ruth Bader Ginsburg. If self-help were a weapon, Michelle would be a nuclear missile, and Joe would be the caveman holding a club asking, "Is this keto?"
For president.
Yeah, I've heard you say I think Michelle should run.
She could win. She could win, I think. I think if she ran, she could win.
Do you ever run for office?
No.
I have to ask it.
No.
No kind of office.
No.
I don't think she wants that, though.
No,
I don't think
guess.
she wants that in her life. The bull that they dealt with over the 8 years when he was president.
Because I've got these two young people at home. Being the kids, the daughters of a president, just think about it. Not so easy.
That job for anybody that really good at it.
Yeah, I trust the person who doesn't want the job more than the person who wants the job.
It's not something that I'm interested in or would ever do.
And if you think she's wrapping it up, think again. Michelle's in her spiritual sage era now, dropping vague affirmations like they're commandments. You are the light. Okay, cool. But are you paying my power bill, Joe Rogan? Hears that and says, what does that even mean? And thankfully someone is asking, Michelle makes you feel like a failure for skipping. Your gratitude list, Joe, makes you feel like a champion. For waking up before noon when Michelle says we need to rise up someone in the Midwest, quietly whispers, do we even have the energy? She's so high on her moral mountain. She probably needs oxygen and hiking guides just to distribute her event. Flyers Joe, meanwhile, is on ground level talking to a guy who invented squirrel-flavored protein powder. One of them keeps it human, the other makes you feel like you need to run 10 miles before earning a cookie. Michelle thinks apathy is the enemy. Rogan says it's refined carbs. Both might be wrong, but at least Joe lets you laugh a little. He says try a plant medicine journey and hit a punching bag, and somehow that's more comforting than Michelle's 12-step program for civic virtue and salad prep.
So this is the one.
Or the first woman
We already
president.
have it with Obama, so let's just calm down.
Got it.
You know Michelle is a trans.
I'm sorry, she's a what?
A transgender. We all know.
Oh my gosh.
It's pretty funny how she said it.
Okay,
And yes, it's exhausting. Michelle turns every conversation into a moral battleground. Eat this, not that. Think this, never that. Joe just says form your own opinion and suddenly he's controversial. Come on. Michelle is what happens when a life coach gets a blank check, a designer closet, and a political platform and forgets that most people just want to eat lunch without guilt. Joe scratches his beard and says maybe she needs a nap or a burger, but Michelle won't rest because to her resting equals failure or worse, lack of inspiration. Her idea of winding down is rearranging, quote, decals while wearing luxury yoga gear and giving a TED talk to her fitness app while Joe's just over there reminding us that life isn't that serious maybe. Just need to laugh, sweat a little, and hear less from Michelle Obama for a while.
And George Soros should have backed up the money truck to Michelle Obama and said, listen, you are going to run because people like you. They like you. It doesn't matter, about any of the conspiracies. Maybe you are Big Mike. Who cares?
What?
But you are going to run this goddamn country.
I can't believe you went there.
You're going to run this goddamn country.
That is the wackiest conspiracy.
It's a
currently
wacky
available.
Conspiracy. Can I make one point for the people that are on the side of it?
Yes.
It is weird, but I don't...
Call it inspiration, call it power, call it whatever, but if Michelle turns up the intensity any higher, your phone's going to do squats when you scroll past her speech. It's a bizarre world, but at least Joe Rogan's not out here trying to shame. You into sipping green juice while meditating on top of a balance ball and sobbing for democracy sometimes? All we need is one dude with a mic willing to say not everything needs to be a life lesson, but Michelle's on a mission to turn grocery shopping into activism. Pick the wrong almond milk and you might just be undoing half. A century of feminist progress while she lectures from a high horse. Joe's just chewing jerky and reminding us that maybe, just maybe, inner peace doesn't require visible abs or a best-selling memoir.